Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of Gazeta Brasil, your weekly Brazilian football show. I'm Ewan Marshall and this week we're going to talk about World Cup qualifiers and a crucial doubleheader for Brazil over the next 7 days. We're going to preview both of the matches, look at how Brazil are going to line up and analyse their opposition. So stay tuned. So, the South American qualifiers for the 2018 World Cup march on this week. Brazil will be in action on Friday and on Tuesday. They play at home to Uruguay in Recife on Friday, and then they go to play away in Asunción against Paraguay. Now, in episode 1 of Gazeta Brasil, we talked about the squad selection for these qualifiers. And the latest development since then is that Liverpool's Roberto Firmino has actually had to pull out of the squad due to an injury, which means that everything I said in episode 1 is now completely irrelevant. Anyway, he's been replaced by Benfica's centre forward Jonas, who is actually leading the European Golden Shoe rankings at the moment and probably should have been called up in the first place. Friday night against Uruguay. The first question mark about this game concerns how Brazil will line up in midfield. Now, for the past few years, the Seleção has usually gone with a kind of 4-2-3-1 formation with two planted holding midfielders in front of the defence. Now, this gives them a bit more security in front of the penalty area, but the problem is it leaves a massive gap between the midfield and the attack. So you have this whole space here, which is just completely empty, and Brazil are then easily dominated by opponents who play 3 or 4 men in the midfield. We saw that in the qualifiers against Chile, against Venezuela, and in the first half against Argentina as well. Now, in the second half against Argentina, Dunga actually made a bit of a change. What he did was he sacrificed one of his holding midfielders. And then put two more creative midfielders on either side. So this ended up working really well because Luis Gustavo, who was the principal holding midfielder, he would bring the ball out of defence and he would always have passing options on either side. It allowed Brazil to have a bit more control over possession, and it also allowed them to move the ball up the pitch much quicker. Now, they stuck with this formation against Peru and they dominated that whole game, so it looks like that is what Dunga is going to go with in the future. Now, the question about this regards whether Dunga is going to stick to this formation against Uruguay, because Uruguay are typically a very gritty and physical side. They like to try to dominate the midfield and they tackle hard, and there's a lot of intense pressing in the midfield area. And also, Dunga is going to be without Elias, who was the right-sided midfielder in this formation against Peru. So without someone with that kind of midfield engine, I'm not sure he's actually going to go for this 3-man midfield. I think he is actually going to revert to a 4-2-3-1 once again, with Luis Gustavo, Fernandinho and Renato Augusto a bit more advanced. So, something that works in Brazil's favour for this match is that Uruguay are going into this with an extensive list of injuries and suspensions. You have the right back Maxi Pereira, who is suspended, and you also have injuries to the captain Diego Godin, Jose Maria Jimenez, you have Martin Cáceres, Matias Corujo, and Emiliano Velasquez as well. Now, all of those players, apart from Matias Corujo, all of them are defenders and arguably all first choice players as well. So Brazil will be going into this game against, at the very least, a second string Uruguay defence. But it's not all good news for Brazil, because this game is going to mark the return of one Luis Suarez to the Uruguay side, who has now served his 9-match international ban after taking a bite out of Giorgio Chiellini in the 2014 World Cup. Now, as anyone who watches European football will know, Luis Suarez is arguably the most dangerous centre forward in the world at the moment. and I'm sure he's looking at David Luiz's name on the Brazil team sheet and licking his lips in anticipation for a few goals. And of course, even without Suarez, Uruguay have made a really good start to the qualifying campaign. They sit second in the table at the moment with 9 points out of 12. So the secret to their success has been their efficiency in set pieces, as 6 of their 9 goals they've scored so far have come directly from dead ball situations. So they've got a lot of height all over the pitch, and they've also got some excellent delivery from Monterrey's Carlos Sanchez on the right wing. So Brazil are going to have to be extra careful at corners and free kicks on Friday night. So next, on Tuesday evening, Brazil go away to play Paraguay in Asunción. The hosts have had a reasonable start to qualifying, but the danger for Brazil here comes in their recent record against Paraguay. The last 2 times they've played each other, Paraguay eliminated Brazil from the Copa America in 2011 and again last year in 2015. Brazil have not actually won in Asunción since 1985. So, like Uruguay, Paraguay are quite a stubborn side and they're difficult to break down, which could cause Brazil problems because the Seleção seem to be a bit too reliant on creating chances through individual pieces of skill rather than good team play. And one of the problems here concerns the system that Dunga plays at the moment, with 2 very wide midfielders sticking to the touchline and 1 centre forward who is Neymar, who's given all the freedom he wants. Now, what usually happens is, because Neymar is not a natural centre forward, he doesn't usually play in this position. His natural position is on the left, cutting inside. So when he is given this creative freedom, that's what he tends to do. He tends to drift out to the left. What this does, this leaves a massive space. This leaves Brazil without a centre forward, essentially, and it also means that Neymar and Douglas Costa, who usually plays on the left, they're taking up the same positions. They're bumping into each other. They can't link up because they're trying to play the same position. So a potential solution to this would be just to play Neymar on the left, drop Douglas Costa to the bench and play a proper centre forward at number 9, Jonas perhaps, now that he's called up. Or alternatively, what you could do is just give Neymar all the freedom he wants to go left, to drop deep, to come to the right, but at the same time offer creative freedom to these wide players, because this is where it's really important. And then you give these wide players, so Willian on the right and Douglas Costa on the left, you also give them freedom to cut inside, to bomb forward, to move in function of Neymar, who has more freedom. So that's all for today. Remembering that those matches are on Friday and Tuesday evening, so check your local TV listings for kickoff times. And in the meantime, check out our YouTube channel, watch our previous episodes, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as it only takes 1 click and is a real help to us. And you can also follow us on Twitter and like our Facebook page as well. So until next time, I'm Ewan Marshall saying ciao e até mais.